What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the second episode of How Good. And I'm joined by my good friend Lucy Simons. Lucy, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
So we're here to talk about celebrity involvement in wrestling. I think recently there's been a lot of celebrity involvement, from Shaquille O'Neal getting ready to wrestle Cody. You got Bad Bunny gearing up for a WrestleMania match. And, I mean, Lil Uzi Vert even came to the Nightmare Factory and was apparently taking bumps. So you never know what's going to happen. So we're just going to talk about, I guess, sort of wrestlers getting involved throughout history and all the goodness. But I guess first up, what do you make of all the stuff going on now with Shaq and Bad Bunny?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I knew who he was, because I had no idea when he turned up. Was it the Rumble where he first turned up? I had no idea. And I was on a call with some of the guys from the society, and I was just like, who is he? None of us had any idea. But I guess that's because I guess he's a big celebrity in the US.
Yes.
And I think there's this kind of cultural disconnect between the kind of the US product, which is obviously what the WWE's main kind of audience is. So they obviously cater to that quite a lot. And then you get these celebrities coming in who just don't connect with us at all. But that's not to say that it's not a good thing. I mean, I really love to see celebrities get involved with WWE because I think it has the potential to bring in a whole different audience to the product, really. And it makes it seem cool. I mean, it's never really going to be cool, but it makes it seem a bit more cool.
See, that's the thing, because I know obviously I knew who Bad Bunny was, but I'd never listened to him. I think if he'd been on like sneaker shopping, I watched like a lot of sneaker shopping on Complex's YouTube channel, and I know that it was either him or J Balvin, but one of the like really big like Latin rappers was on. So I knew who he was, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. This guy who's like, you know, quite famous. I didn't realise he was actually the most streamed artist in the whole world on Spotify last year. So, yeah, because obviously, you know, there's a lot more Spanish-speaking countries than English-speaking countries, so he's, you know, this massive star all over the world. And then he showed up, and I was like, you know, it's cool that, you know, he's getting involved, and it's cool that he's at the Royal Rumble, and it's cool that he's showing love to WWE. And then I was like, you know, it's cool, he's got his song, he's playing Booker T, that's fine. And then when he showed up, when he got involved in the actual Royal Rumble match, and he did that crossbody off the top rope, I could just see the smile on his face when he was on the top rope, and I was like, oh no, this guy actually loves wrestling. This guy is so happy to be here. And I think you can really tell that with him, because it's not like, obviously the infamous one is, I can't even remember who it was, but back in the guest host era of Raw, somebody called SummerSlam Summerfest. And it's not, you know, it's obviously the opposite end of that. And then as well, you've got, you know, Shaq in AEW, because Shaq's a lifelong wrestling fan, was supposed to be wrestling Big Show a few years ago, and that all fell through. But I know, like what you said, as you said, wrestling will never really be cool because it's wrestling, and everyone knows.
Yeah, it just won't.
Yeah, like it was cool in the 90s, but no one really knew back then that it was, you know, what it is. But now everyone knows that that everyone's going out there, agreed upon the finish, and that. So it's never really going to be cool again. But I think if you do have people like Bad Bunny and Shaquille O'Neal, you bring in like a whole new audience. Like, I know there's a YouTube channel I watch, AM Hoops, and I'm actually interviewing the guy who runs his basketball channel after Shaq debuts, because I think he saw it, and he was like, well, you know, I've not watched wrestling since I was like 8 years old, but I'm going to watch Shaq wrestle.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it's opened up this whole kind of new potential, because there's always a potential for something really funny to happen as well. I think comedy's like a big part. And it's interesting what you said about Bad Bunny, like looking like he really enjoyed it and like he loves wrestling. And I think one of the most recent examples of that springs to my mind is Stephen Amell, when he came in a few years ago. He absolutely killed it. He did a really great job. You could tell he really enjoyed it.
Amazing. I'll never forget, because his match at All In was like his third ever pro wrestling match, because he had the tag match at SummerSlam, and then he wrestled on like an indie in LA, and then he was wrestling Christopher Daniels in front of 10,000 people, and he hit a coast to coast in that match. So I remember watching it, I was like, you're an actor, like what's this about? But he loves it as well. And obviously, speaking of actors who love wrestling, you can't talk about that without talking about David Arquette, who is absolutely. I still think I've only seen like 6 or 7 David Arquette matches, but the one I always think about is, do you remember we had the death match with Nick Gage, and he got like the side of his neck cut going through glass, and Nick Gage realised that he'd messed it up because he didn't throw him back, or he threw him back like too far when he landed on the pane of glass, and he got up and he like started shouting at him. He was like, "You threw me too far." And Nick Gage, this man who did like 8 years for armed robbery, looked terrified of the guy who was married to Monica.
Yeah, that's a really good example actually. I can't remember. I had something to say and I can't remember, so I'll just pass it back over to you. I don't know.
I was just as well on the note of Bad Bunny. I think the last time I checked, I don't know if it still is, but the last time I checked his Instagram, he only follows one account on all of Instagram, and it's WWE. Yeah,
Wow.
one account followed WWE. His last 5 posts have all been about being in WWE. A clip of him performing at the Royal Rumble has 9 million views, which WWE don't even do in a month.
No, they definitely do not.
Which is mad.
I mean, yeah. Well, you're going to get people following him, and when you go on someone's profile and they're following one person, you're obviously going to click and see who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's somewhat really big for WWE, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always kind of skeptical when celebrities come in. I'm always kind of like, oh, I can't be bothered with this. Like, not really interested, but I'd say more times than not, I actually get pleasantly surprised with how good it ends up being. I think WWE, especially and AEW as well, kind of proven to have this knack of making it feel organic. I think is the word I'm looking for. Like it doesn't feel forced. There is examples where it has felt forced. Jon Stewart in like 2015, I think it was. Yeah, when he was in, that was something else. But
because I think having Jon Stewart involved, like being on Raw, was fine because he's also another like lifelong wrestling fan. But then when he got involved in the match and all that stuff for no reason, that was bad. I think I'm going to, one more example I'm going to say as well, just of like a celebrity actually, especially when they get in the ring, that was good. Do you remember it was a TNA show in like 2017 when D'Angelo Williams from the NFL came across because he was like Moose's friend and he had a frog splash on his for no reason. That was the guy who overshot the frog splash. But he was really good too. And you know, I think more often than not, the wrestlers who get involved, especially in a company like AEW or TNA, or the celebrities that get involved, I should say, are fans. But you know, like I say, we can't talk about the good without talking about the bad celebrity involvements in wrestling. And my mind is immediately drawn to Snooki at WrestleMania.
Iconic, just truly iconic. Pop culture blew up.
I know she teamed with Morrison, but it was her, Morrison, and someone else. Because, wait there, Snooki, WrestleMania. Because after it was WrestleMania 27, of course it was. It was Trish Stratus. That was who they teamed with. And after the win, Trish Stratus goes to high five John Morrison, and he just like walked completely past her to get the photo with the celebrity. And it's just completely brushes off Trish Stratus to pose with Snooki. And I mean, like we were saying, you know, when it's good, it's good. But WWE have been known to try for a headline rather than make their own like luck with it.
I feel like when it misses a long way.
Yeah, and I think.
And WrestleMania 27 was one big miss as a whole. And I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of pressure when you put in those high spots like WrestleMania, like we mentioned before, the Royal Rumble. There is a lot of pressure, and it has to be kind of, I don't know, like it has to mean something because it's a really big show. But if you have like what Jon Stewart did, a huge kind of interference that kind of changes the whole course of a massive storyline, then it's more risky, and it's got the potential to kind of come across as not very good, really, bit shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, I think as well, the misses are amplified a lot more than like people, because you know, if Bad Bunny comes in and wrestles at WrestleMania and he sucks, if he comes in and he's good, people are going to be like, yeah, you know, he's been at the Performance Center training for a while, you know, he's been down there for a few months. But if Bad Bunny comes in and he can't like hit the ropes right, everyone's going to tear through everything that they've been doing. And, I think you look at Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell came in and, he had this really good match at SummerSlam, and everyone just kind of went, yeah, well, Stephen Amell, he does most of his own stunts, so we kind of expected it. But at the same time, if Stephen Amell had come in and, once again, not been able to do anything, people would have absolutely tore through it. But the one thing I don't get, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about the likes of Bad Bunny being involved, they forget that WWE would probably not exist without celebrity involvement. I mean, WrestleMania wouldn't have succeeded without Cyndi Lauper and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, that's very true.
I was thinking about that recently, that Captain Lou Albano plays Cyndi Lauper's dad in the Girls Just Want to Have Fun video, which is mad. But I do think as we go on and especially when there's nothing to do, like COVID, you can't have gigs, you can't, a lot of movies are being pushed. Do you think we're going to see more celebrities try and get involved in wrestling because it's one of the only things still happening?
That's a really good point, actually. I'd not thought of it like that, but I suppose you're right, because it is one of the only kind of, like, as you say, like regular things that's still going on in like the entertainment industry. So yeah, I think potentially yes, potentially no. I don't really. Yeah, I think there's a good chance, and I do think that if you have people like Bad Bunny coming in, you're going to get more celebrities wanting to get involved because they realise, it's it's this product that we can up our own kind of popularity on it. Because WWE, it is a huge platform. Like, people like to think that obviously, like, even though we said before it's not cool anymore, it is a huge platform. They've got massive social media presence. It is like it's a big deal for anyone who manages to get a deal with them.
Oh yeah, like definitely. Like,
so yeah, I think.
Sorry, you go.
No, I'm done.
All right. No, I was just going to say, like you say, I mean, even the wrestling's popularity has dwindled massively, even in the past, like 5 years, especially with WWE's popularity. Like, and not even that, just I think their TV numbers have like dropped massively in the past, even 5 years. And whilst wrestling, like we say, will never be like as cool as it was in the 90s, everyone knows WWE. It's such a household name. And if you've got something to promote, like, I mean, the one that comes to mind was another one that comes to mind. There was when LeVar Ball came on to Raw with his three sons just after Alonso got drafted. So Alonso got drafted to LA, and they had a Raw in the Staples Center like 2 weeks after the draft. So they got the Balls involved with like the Miz, and that's obviously a good thing because they had a reality TV show coming up. Alonso Ball had just been drafted to the LA Lakers, and people tuned in for that. Raw's ratings at the time were consistently dropping, but I think it held steady for that week because there's the intrigue of having this actual celebrity there. When you look at, we nearly had Mike Tyson and Chris Jericho as well, so I think I forgot it happened because we moved on to Shaquille O'Neal so quick. But yeah, I think WWE is so like worldwide and so known globally that if I was like a musician or an actor or something, and I had nothing to do right now because all my tours were off or all my movies were on hold, and I liked WWE, I'd see what was going on. So I guess we'll just have a few wee questions to fire off before we sort of wrap this up. But one, who out of all the former celebrities who have come across would you like to see give wrestling a proper go in the way that David Arquette's done it?
That's a good question. The thing is, none of them spring to my mind immediately, which probably tells me that they needed to do better at the time.
See, for me, I think Stephen Amell's the obvious one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
But I think even though I've not seen him properly wrestle yet, there's something in the back of my mind that wants not like a long run, but I just want to see Shaquille O'Neal wrestle more. Yeah. I want Shaq to wrestle Marco Stunt.
Oh yeah, it's just one of them things you've got to see in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to do that.
I think as well. Did you see Shaq performing his finishing move on Inside the NBA?
I don't think I did see that.
So they were like talking about it because obviously Inside the NBA is on TNT, so they were promoting it there. And Kenny Smith's just going, he's like, so Shaq, you got a finishing move? He's like, yep. It's like, what's it called? It's called the Black Tornado. And he goes, can you show me it? And obviously, because of COVID, they're all set up with like plastic screens in between them on the big desk. And he just goes up and just starts hitting spinning back fists on Kenny Smith's screen.
Oh my God.
And I can tell you one thing for free, I wouldn't like to get hit with a spinning back fist off of Shaquille O'Neal.
I'll have to go and watch that after this is done.
It's unreal. Any celebrities you think would be really good if they got involved in wrestling?
Oh.
See, because I've got two picks, I've got two answers.
Yeah.
So the one who I think would be a good wrestler, because obviously, or not, they always say the always thing is you don't need to be good at wrestling to be a good wrestler.
Yeah.
So the one who I think would be good at wrestling, I think he'd be a brilliant wrestler all over, but the one who I think would come in and would probably have an amazing match is Jackie Chan.
Oh yeah, that's an excellent shout.
I would love to see Jackie Chan wrestle because they knew they talked about it on the podcast like a year ago, and like Xavier Woods was talking about, it was like it's got to be Jackie Chan, and then he just started talking about, can you imagine Jackie Chan wrestling like Brock Lesnar for one, and then Rey Mysterio, and then even like Santino in a comedy match, and he could do it all. And I've just been thinking about getting Jackie Chan in a wrestling ring. But for one who I think would be good, like a good wrestler, I don't know about his athletic ability, but just to have him like in a ring with a mic, is Quavo from Migos, because he's maybe the most insane man in the world. Did you see his newest thing that he's done?
No, I don't think so.
He got a chainsaw attachment for his gun, for his rifle.
Oh my God.
And I just think because he's so mad, he would be, and he's also pals with Ric Flair. All amigos are pals with Ric Flair, so I think Ric Flair should teach him how to bump.
It could happen.
Yeah, I'd love it, because I just think Quavo's head's so fried. So I remember as well, I was scrolling through my Instagram stories like 2 summers ago, and it was like the other two guys in Migos Offset and Take Off their stories. They were like at a party somewhere, and he was just on a holiday on an island. They just took a photo of a lizard and put it on his Instagram story, and it just said Mr. Lizard. So I want to see him with a mic in his hand. So are there any celebrities you...
Along those same lines, like someone who's just kind of mental and probably got absolutely no ability in the ring, but he would be really entertaining. I mean, just come to my mind now, like Jack Black would be really funny. I think that would just be hilarious to see what sort of stuff we'd come out with. I mean, his TikToks are absolutely hilarious. And he'll do pretty much everything.
I think they should put Jack Black and Kevin Owens in a team.
Oh yeah.
That's
two pals that, if they're not pals already, they're going to be best pals if they ever meet.
I feel like they're like meant to cross paths at some stage. That's a really good shout. Love to see Jack Black take up the wrestling. So I guess the final thing before we call this off is what are your expectations for the Shaq and the Bad Bunny matches?
Well, I'm expecting probably more showmanship than pure wrestling. Like, I'm not expecting the most amazing technical match I've ever seen, obviously, but that's not, because sometimes you just need that on a card to kind of break it up.
Exactly. Especially obviously, I know Cody talked about. Sorry, cut you off. But Cody talked about All In and how it was like the perfect variety show, because you had the big battle royal at the start, which was won by El Hijo de Chico, who was Flip Gordon. And then you had like the really silly match that Flip had with Jay Lethal for the ROH title, when every time Jay Lethal would get touched on the shoulder, he would become the Macho Man, because that was the bit on BT at the time. And then you had like you had that Mad Lucha 6-man main event, and then the match between Kenny and Penta. And I just think you need stuff like that to break up a card.
Yeah, you do. I think that's what makes like a long wrestling show like WrestleMania watchable, because if you've got these really intense feuds one after the other, it can get really exhausting. I think the 2-part, like 2-night WrestleMania kind of works in that way as well.
Yeah.
I think the match will be good. I think they'll be entertaining. Probably they're not going to blow us away. I'm not expecting. My expectations aren't like through the roof. But I don't think they'll be bad.
Yeah. See, I'm actually. I feel like I'm the most excited person in the world about Cody and Shaq, and I don't know why. I can't really explain it. I think it's because I've got in my mind that Cody's going to go for a disaster kick and Shaq's just going to stiff it. I've just got that in my mind because he's so huge. That'd be amazing. But no, I think Shaq still. I mean, he looks amazing. He's this 7'2" mountain carved out of stone. And I think all he needs to do. He doesn't need to be. I'm not expecting a hurricane run off of Shaq. I'm not expecting. I was not expecting him to go off the top rope. But I am expecting him to have a lot of fun. And I think as well, you can always tell when people are having a lot of fun when they're wrestling. I think it's always good to like you say, break up a card. And I think with Bad Bunny, he showed that he's clearly got some athleticism with the distance he got on that crossbody at the Royal Rumble, even though his foot slipped. Because I saw his foot slip and I was like, oh dear. But then he still managed to get the whole way across. And he's clearly a massive wrestling fan with a huge passion for it. And he's training at the Performance Centre like 5 days a week. And obviously, he'll be in there with, the rumour is him and Damien Priest against Miz and Morrison. And, they're three of the best. So I'm probably expecting more out of that match than Corey and Shaq. But I think I'm more excited for Corey and Shaq.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And to be fair, when you've got Bad Bunny training so often, there is quite a lot of pressure on him actually to pull out a bit of a showstopper.
Yeah.
Well, not a showstopper in the sense that it could main event WrestleMania, but a showstopper in the sense that if you've got low expectations, they're going to be, it's going to exceed your expectations. I think do that.
I feel like hearing that he's been going to the Performance Centre like 3, 4, 5 times a week, it's kind of given me similar expectations that I had of Stephen Amell, because Stephen Amell wasn't training at a wrestling school all the time, but Stephen Amell does the majority of his own stunts on Arrow, and as clearly as this athletic freak, and I think everyone was kind of expecting Stephen Amell to go in there and be good, which he was. But I don't know, I feel like the general expectations on Bad Bunny from the majority of the wrestling fandom are quite low, which might work in his favour.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it will work in his favour because the wrestling community loves to do this, just react negatively to anything new. And I think was like a kind of negative reaction. Not obviously from everyone. There was people arguing that it was a good thing, and there's obviously always going to be people who argue it's a bad thing. And I think you're right. I think it could work in his favour really because, obviously you can't be disappointed if you don't expect anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. I've been a vocal supporter of Bad Bunny in WWE. I think it's a great move for business. But that's the thing. I've seen a lot of my timeline clogged up with negativity around it because negativity is more eye-catching and more likely to get responses and spark a debate. So from what I can tell, a lot of people aren't expecting much, and I'm cautiously optimistic he's going to have a good match.
Yeah.
So I guess that's perfect. So I guess that's all for now, unless you've got any other wrestling celebrity stories you would like to hit.
I'm just trying. Didn't Jack Black do that film about wrestling?
Oh, he did. Natural Libre. Yeah. He's
got that connection. He's got that connection in wrestling. So it's very possible.
I was going to say I'm surprised they never got him involved back in the day, but then I remember that was 2006 and the guest host thing, because obviously they got Mickey Rourke in for the wrestler, but that was sort of later when WWE were more willing to bring in people. Because I think in 2006 they were, very, it was like quite, they were still riding high off one of the Monday Night Wars, which I mean they still are. They still think they forgot. But yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm quite surprised that Jack Black never got involved on an episode of Raw.
Yeah, that would have been great promotion. I mean, that works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, because obviously you think about all the celebrities they got in back then were like cool celebrities. I don't know if you could ever describe Kevin Federline as cool, but he was a rapper who went out with Britney Spears, so they got him in. And then you had like the Jackass crew getting killed by Umaga.
Oh my god.
Which is amazing. Steve-O still says that hurts more than anything he's ever done. Any like fall off a skateboard, anything getting, because I think he got like pop-ups and one dropped by Umaga, and he was that hurt the most out of anything in the world.
Wow.
That's another one right at the end. I just remember that Jackass one is definitely one of my favourite times a celebrities got involved in wrestling. So yeah, I guess we'll just wrap it up there. Let's see if you got anything to plug, anything to promote.
No, not really. But I would promote like the wrestling companies that I work for, but they can't do shows at the moment, so there's no point.
Well, I'll shout them out anyway, and I'll drop their socials so people know where to go when they do come back.
Well, it's KOW, which is Knockout Wrestling, which is in Barrow-in-Furness. So if you're in the north of England, and also Odyssey Pro Wrestling, which is a brand new in Morecambe, going to be reviving the Morecambe wrestling scene. It's going to start up hopefully 2021. But yeah, that's going to be really cool when it gets started. So definitely check it out.
Wasn't I for one, I'm missing shows so much, much. Because
like,
as well,
it came been like a year since the last wrestling show. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half for me. And coming up, I think it was because obviously when all this kicked off, I was going back to Ireland for the OTT show with John Moxley on it. I'm not going to say who's wrestling because we don't talk about him anymore, but John Moxley was coming over and he was wrestling in Dublin. It was going to be great. And then I was on the flight. It was all good. I was like talking to some people who were going to the show and they were like, "Are you a bit, worried that something's going to happen?" I was like, "Nah, be fine. Be fine. We'll go to the show, we'll all have fun." And I was like, OTT put out a thing that said, if you don't feel well, don't come to the show. And everyone's been saying, if I'm not feeling good, I'm just going to leave it. So I'm like, I'll be fine. And then as I was in mid-air, it got cancelled. So.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. That's worse than like not being able to make the journey at all. That's awful.
Yeah, because I think as well, because I'd been out the night before. I went to see Frank Turner the night before and I was out for my friend's birthday. So I'd had more than a few beers. So I was already not in a good mood to be travelling that day. But yeah, I'm very excited for shows to get back. But anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will plug all the relevant social medias of Lucy and all the companies in the description down below if you want to check them all out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.